welcome to the second episode of Rewind Heroes. I'm your co-host, Greg Compton.
And I'm your other co-host, Dan Gaines. This is going to be your weekly video podcast where we talk everything movies, television, any kind of entertainment news you can think of. It's right here.
That's right. And we want to thank everybody that watched the first episode.
Absolutely.
We got so much good feedback, and we really look forward to bringing this to you weekly. So share it with your friends. Let everybody know. Like us on our Facebook page at Rewind Heroes. Dan, there was a small game this weekend.
I think I heard a couple people talk about it.
Yeah, there's something.
Just a little bit of it. There were a few things maybe in between.
Movie trailer here or there.
Just a couple.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today in a jam-packed show. So let's first go ahead and get to the newsreel. You want to do that?
Let's do this.
All right, roll the newsreel. All right, first up, this goes really to the Whovians, which would be me, a huge Doctor Who fan. Dan has yet to get into this, but the biggest news that came out this past week is, well, sad news. First of all, you're not getting a normal Doctor Who season in 2016. They will be doing the Christmas special, so you will get to see at least one episode. But other than that, the next actual series will be in 2017, and it will be showrunner Stephen Moffat's last season. And he's kind of been the brainchild of some of this resurgence of Doctor Who. So he'll be stepping down, and Chris Chibnall is going to be taking over. And he is actually the gentleman that does Broadchurch. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
A lot of people,
checked that out.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about it. It's a really great show, actually featuring a former doctor himself, David Tennant, who's actually my favorite doctor. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where this goes. But yeah, you'll be waiting, sadly, a while before any more Doctor Who. And then it makes you wonder, we've got Capaldi as the current doctor. And he'd made hints that maybe he would only do three seasons. This would be his third season. Kind of makes you wonder if he'll step off with the showrunner and we'll go a completely new direction in the future with 2018. So we'll see.
I guess, if anything, that from my perspective, I've got some time to get caught up if I want to get into the show.
That's
so
right.
There you go.
And you can do that on Netflix. They've got so far the entire run, and I think they've renewed with Netflix, so you will still be able to watch those.
Very cool.
All right, what else do you got?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone checked it out last night, but it was breaking news that Johnny Depp had just been casted as Universal's Invisible Man. And what's kind of cool about that is they're basically taking their Universal classic monsters and they're kind of relaunching all of that. I don't know if anyone had seen last month, they had announced that they were going to do kind of a Mummy reboot, not to be confused with the Stephen Sommers version with Brendan Fraser, which I'm not going to lie, I actually kind of liked.
I liked them.
I thought they were entertaining. So
yeah.
The new one has Tom Cruise in it. That'd be interesting if Tom
Very
Hanks
different,
would be
yes.
in the Mummy. But then we've got Johnny Depp here in The Invisible Man. There's talk that they're going to do a Wolfman. And then you got to think that they're also going to do a Creature from the Black Lagoon. And are they maybe going to take that even further and start doing a new Dracula? I feel like we've had a lot of that here recently.
Well, and actually, from what I'd heard, the last Dracula movie was supposed to be the launch of this new cinematic world.
So that did count.
It was supposed to, but I don't think it did very well in the box office.
That's the reason I wonder.
It makes you wonder, will they stick with that, or are they going to reboot that yet again?
I don't know. To me, you got to kind of, if that was their first step in that world, I don't think it was off on a very good foot. So hopefully these next two, they've got good names as far as starring in it. That might get the draw to the theaters. Overall, I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
We haven't had a good version of the classic Universal monsters in a long time, so why not?
Exactly, and what I want is Creature from the Black Lagoon redone, because that is my favorite. I remember seeing in college, seeing in a class, the 3D version of it on film with the red and blue glasses, and it's not the greatest movie, but I would love to see that and see the design of the creature.
Right,
so
and I think it's just natural that with the technology today, all the stuff they can do with it.
Oh, they
can make it pretty cool. And then if they kind of go into it with the whole Marvel perspective, that eventually there's going to be an overlap and they create characters we like.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty neat.
Well, and then you could just cast Tom Hanks for Dracula, right?
He'll bring it all together.
Exactly. In other news, if you're a fan of the book, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and I love it. I'm getting Dan here to read this soon.
I can't wait to check that one out.
This is going to be a huge movie. It has a huge fan base, and it covers anything and everything pop culture from the 80s, well, late 70s, most of the 80s, with some other stuff sprinkled in. Spielberg is going to be helming this one, so it's going to be huge. It's getting pushed back till 2018. Part of this is so it will not be in conflict with the new Star Wars film that's going to be coming out originally at the time it was going to be released. So,
Right.
and that's good because I want both of these movies to do well and have their own thing going on. So far, the only people cast have been Olivia Cooke from Bates Motel. I think she's been some other stuff too. So she'll be playing one of the main characters, Artemis, and then Ben Mendelsohn, who I believe is also in Rogue One.
He is.
And he was in Bloodlines from Netflix. Is that Bloodline? I believe that's the title. Yes.
I'm not sure on, but yeah.
I've seen that. He's in that.
Rogue
I just want to make sure that's the right name. But great actor. So we're looking forward to it. And I'll talk more about Ready Player One as we move on. But I mean, essentially, it's a world where most people live in a virtual world, kind of like a big MMO, and it ties in pretty much anything pop culture from these, and it has some treasure hunt aspect to it. It would take a while to actually explain this. Go read the book. That's my recommendation. Go read the book.
First step is read the book.
Read the book.
Go from there.
It's amazing, and then just sit there. And go, gosh, isn't it 2018 yet? So.
Well, and it sounds like I don't know anything about it yet. I'm going to check it out, but it just sounds like to me, based on everything you've said with the retro and throwing in all these different brands, pop culture.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg's absolutely perfect for this.
He is perfect for it.
So I'm excited about it, and I don't even know much about it, so it sounds great.
Yes.
Then the final story we've kind of got for you guys. I know that this Friday, the new Deadpool movie, or not the new, it's the first Deadpool movie is being released. Ryan Reynolds has actually already signed on for a sequel, which I think is a good sign. And he was just quoted here this last week in an interview saying that his next mission is to get a movie for X-Force up and running. I know he was a big advocate for Deadpool being done correctly. The character was in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was an absolute debacle.
Destroy the character.
They finally have the character right. He seems to be the perfect person for the character. So I think it's kind of exciting that they're now talking about doing this X-Force.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of elaborate on what exactly that is.
X-Force, it was kind of a title out there along with X Factor. Excalibur was kind of in there with X-Men, obviously, all these little branches. The main character, Cable, was Cyclops' son.
Yeah.
So he's from the future. From what I can gather, I only read it for a short time, but the roster obviously changed. But there's going to be a few people that I think have always been mainstays. Cable, and then Domino, who is kind of a female assassin-esque kind of character. So you have to start wondering who can they cast for these people. If you can look in the back, you can already see what Cable looks like. And he's going to be an interesting person to cast. Now, you had an idea. Who were you thinking?
Yeah, and again, I'm going into this kind of just learning about X-Force, if you will, but just kind of hearing about the type of character he is and what he looks like. I thought Bruce Willis would be a great fit for this. I mean, he's got that rugged, he's an older badass, he's been in a lot of different movies, and I think he could pull it off.
I think so too, and if you can see, I went ahead and did a little bit of a Photoshop mock-up, gave him a little gray hair,
nice.
But I think that would really work. I think he would be really great for the role, and I mean, this is the leader of the team, so I think that's perfect. And then I started thinking, who would I cast as Domino? And then one name that came to mind was Olivia Wilde. For some reason, I just thought she might be perfect, so I did a couple mock-ups of what she might look as the character.
I'm on board.
She's got the mark, the white skin, the mark. Yeah, and I mean, when I saw that she was in Tron, it's the same haircut, kind of that suit. I'm like, that might be perfect.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because you need someone that's going to be tough enough, so maybe her or Natalie Dormer or someone like that could take nothing off anyone kind of deal. And I think that'd be perfect.
No, one thing I'm going to ask you about the X-Force, because I was just thinking about this. You said something about he's kind of from the future. Because they've opened the door with the Days of Future Past and the X-Men, I mean, is that maybe where this connection, they could tie in X-Men with it?
Yeah, I mean, there was, Bishop was a character in that one film, and I mean, he was kind of like that from the future.
That's
cool. It really kind of breaks that barrier. So yeah,
I like that.
Definitely bring it in.
Very cool.
So yeah.
So I guess we'll have to stay tuned and see if X-Force gets up and running.
That's right. So should we go ahead and hit some of these trailers?
I guess.
All right, let's do some trailer talk.
So, Greg, to kind of get these Super Bowl trailers up and running here, the first one that I think maybe even the order of when we saw these, there was Captain America Civil War. We got a quick glance, some different footage that they were showing. Yeah, we both got it going. Overall, I thought the trailer was awesome. We didn't get a ton of new footage. We did get some things, but the way it was orchestrated, the nice chanting in the background, United We Stand, I think
is what, yeah.
And I don't know, it just gave me chills. So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion of the trailer. And just, I guess, overall in Civil War, what you're kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good trailer. I mean, it shows that there's more viciousness here than maybe some people think. You're like, oh, are they just gonna? Is it almost like an argument, like a stand? No, these people are about ready to kill each other,
Yes.
and that's proven when Bucky basically takes a shot right at Tony Stark's head, and the only thing saving him is
This awesome watch.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you guys have to check it out. It's on our Facebook page.
Yeah, I mean, you sit there and you're like, no, you're trying to straight up kill Tony Stark.
This isn't his buddies roughhousing. These guys are looking to kill each other.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The stakes are up there. You could kind of see the point of both sides once you really understand the story of Civil War. So it's going to be interesting how some people fell on some people's sides. I mean, some of that makes sense, some doesn't. So I'm curious. It's the first time you see Black Panther, really. I'm really interested to see that character because this is one that you haven't gotten the solo film yet.
Nope.
That I don't even know if they finished writing the script yet.
I don't think
obviously
so.
the casting.
And that's kind of a first. They haven't. Marvel hasn't done this yet, where they really, in a, I guess, collaborative movie, have a new character introduced like that. They haven't, as a hero, they haven't done it.
Yeah, and now they laid some groundwork for like his fictional land in Africa. They did all of that in the last Age of Ultron, in the last Avengers movie. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how this plays out. I have a theory, so I'll call it now, that Cap dies in this. I just think it happened in the comic books, but I wasn't following then, so I don't know if it happened in Civil War.
Yes.
But to me, when you see a lot of Falcon, who in the comics at some point took over Captain America, and Bucky has taken over Captain America in the past. And if you realize there is a scene in Winter Soldier when he catches the shield, and if you freeze frame it, there's a point where he's sitting there and he's just staring and he's holding up the shield. And you start to wonder, is there some foreshadowing here?
Interesting.
I don't know.
I had not thought of that.
Yeah, I don't know if the actor has played the character interesting enough to take that mantle yet, but I think that's by the writing, not the actor, so it could easily be boosted up in this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, I like that, and it's funny because I didn't grow up reading the comics, so I've kind of experienced the whole Marvel universe through the film.
Right.
So it's interesting because I had a kind of a different perspective on who I thought may be killed off. Who knows? They may all make it through. I don't think so. I kind of wonder if this is going to be Tony Stark's last movie. And that's actually from a completely different perspective. You're saying that Captain America died in the comics. I have no idea if Iron Man ever died.
Right.
I'm looking at it from the actor's perspective. I mean, I know that he's the highest paid of them all.
That's true.
He's kind of talked about this being towards the end. I don't know. I'm looking at it more from that perspective on maybe this would be the one he gets killed in.
It could be both of them. I mean, they both have had contracts where that could be an issue. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how they tie it together. I hope there's not too many characters, too much going on.
Exactly what I was going to say. Because to me, that's the thing that makes me nervous. And I guess the thing that makes me feel a little safe about it is I had the same thought when the first Avengers came out. I thought, how are they going to give enough screen time to everyone? How are we going to feel like this didn't just feel rushed? So from that perspective, I'm at ease enough, but we've got new characters like Black Panther. This is the first time we're seeing Ant-Man with everyone else. They're at some point introducing the new Spider-Man, which is that going to be a Luke moment like Force Awakens? That's the thing I'm kind of wondering is at the very end. But they got a lot to do in this movie.
They do. So we'll see how that plays out. And we'll talk about that much more in the future.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on coming up. So.
Now, the one I was most excited, well, there were two that I was very excited about. One, Bourne is back. Jason Bourne is back. All right, it's not Bourne Legacy, which some people might have thought Renner took over the character Bourne. That wasn't the case if you didn't see it. It's just there were a lot of people that went through that program, so it followed a different story. But no, this is Jason Bourne. Memory is back. Matt Damon is back.
Looks like a badass.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. He has killed people with a ballpoint pen. He has beat people upside the head with a magazine. Make your grandma jealous how well he did that. So I mean now he just takes a guy out with one punch. That was great.
That shot right there was where I literally yelled out loud like, all right, this is going to be awesome.
And I have no idea what the story is going to be because I read the first 3 books, which came out quite a while ago. And I mean, the Bourne character, if I remember, was in his 40s or 50s.
Really?
He wasn't as young as that. That was the one issue. And the main villain that tied all 3 of the movies had the same name, that tied those 3, the main villain, all that was never in the movies. So at that point, the third book, when he's in his 50s and so is the villain, who's an assassin, and you find out that the Bourne character was basically made to take names for government killings that he didn't even do just to bring out this other sniper.
Okay.
And then he finds out there's a person attached to that fictional character, which, is the Matt Damon character. But in the ultimatum, they're in their 50s or so. The other one might have been in his 60s. I'm not really certain on that. But they're older, and their bodies aren't able to do what their minds can still think they could do, and it's really a cat and mouse game. And that's nothing like the books. And so they've taken or nothing like the movies. So they've taken their own course. I know there's going to be a lot of shaky cam in this one. There's going to be a lot of areas where there's not talking. People will be looking at computers angrily, and you won't know why. And there's going to be a lot of collateral damage and probably motorcycle or car chase.
Well, it's funny because that's what I was going to say. I haven't read any of the books. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anything about the character before I saw the movies. And I don't know what the next one's about, and I don't give a damn. I'm just excited to see the movie.
Yeah.
That thing looked, it was a 30-second spot?
Yep.
I don't even know if we knew the title of the movie up until then.
We did. It was just Bourne 5.
It was just Bourne 5, usually untitled project, and just saying Jason Bourne. I'm like, perfect. That's all we need to know.
I'm just glad it wasn't Born Again. So, there's that.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
What was another one you were excited about?
Yeah, so the other one, we kind of touched on X-Men earlier, but XMen Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. This is one that, I'll be honest with you, I think the trailer looked pretty damn good. I mean, it got you excited about it, but I'm kind of teetering on X-Men right now. I think that we've had, We've had 3 of the original X-Men movies. We've had 3 Wolverine films. We've now had 2 of these prequels with Days of Future Past and First Class.
Yeah.
And then they kind of wiped. I don't know. I feel like we're getting overwhelmed now with what storyline counts. They erased X-Men 3. Yeah. Overall, I think we just had a lot of X-Men, and I'm getting a little over it, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, and that was my comic growing up.
Yeah.
X-Men was my comic. But I didn't really like the tights and capes superheroes because I didn't think it was as realistic. And then as I get older, I actually like those stories. And when it gets into like the political stuff, the mutant stuff, maybe it's because real world's too much. I want escapism, so maybe my mentality changed on these movies. But the X-Men movies have just never. I mean, Hugh Jackman was great.
I love Hugh Jackman.
But and so is Patrick Stewart. All the rest just never did it for me. And I like Ian McKellen, but I didn't like him in the role.
He didn't do Magneto for you?
No, I mean, you're talking a more muscular guy.
Okay.
He didn't have the look. Of course, when you make this, and he's a Holocaust survivor, it's, the time is different than it was when the comics originally came out. So you've got to make the character older. If you want to play that story, which makes so much about him.
And that's funny because I didn't read the comics. I didn't grow up with the comics. I really didn't. So that movie, the first one, was kind of my first look into the whole comic book movie world. I mean, 2000 when that came out, that really was the first of modern day. We had Batman, but it wasn't like
no, it was the first. It opened the floodgates.
And I absolutely loved it, and it worked for me. But that's because I didn't have that. I didn't have any history with the character before that.
And at the time, overall, I did like that film. It's because it was the first time to see it, so I was like, "Oh, great! I wanted to like it." It's not bad, but it didn't hit me the way some of these other films have hit me. I will say I am very worried about Oscar Isaac in this as Apocalypse, not because of him as an actor.
No, he's great.
I love him as an actor, and I think he's going to give it some gravitas. It's the suit, it's the character. They make him look bigger, all that, but it doesn't look like the character. And it's just there's something about it.
But even outside of that, it doesn't look like the character, but it looks like a cheesy. I don't know. It looks like it was made in the early 90s and they had no better way to make this character look like a badass. And I don't even know anything about Apocalypse. It doesn't work for me.
I mean, we'll see. To me, he always needs to be bigger than life. I don't know. The thing that they nailed, though, was Psylocke.
Oh.
Ask anybody in the 90s if they were like a 14-year-old boy watching this, like Psylocke, you're like, there's no way you're going to put a character, there's no way you're going to get an actress to play that character, whatever. They got Olivia Munn. I mean, she's perfect for it.
Yep.
I think, as far as her acting chops, I don't know, newsroom, things like that, she was pretty good. So I'm hoping she looks the part, and the power, the psychic blade, or whatever they called that, I can't remember, that she generated when she's slicing open a car. I'm like, all right, this is good.
Attention.
If we could play that now, as long as she's got a sword and does some martial arts stuff, we're good, on that end. But I'm worried about, really worried about Oscar Isaac in this, just what he's given to work with. But I am excited to see Fassbender because I think he's done a great job as Magneto.
I like him.
So, let's see. Let's move on. You want to move on to a couple more? We got to get through these.
Two more, yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane. First of all, what are your thoughts on this?
Sure. So let me rewind on it just a little bit because I absolutely loved not only the movie, but the marketing when the first Cloverfield came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what the hell are we getting ready to see? And the
Right.
mystery behind it. And that really is what got me in the theater because
Yeah.
they did a great job of making you wonder about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the movie. I love the way it was made. And I think you were the first one to kind of mention this one to me because I didn't even know this project was even in existence. I didn't even know they were working on
Right.
it. And when you watch that trailer, even then you're like, okay, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And then when the door opens, they go to the door and she looks outside and you're like, okay, what else is going on? And then that title pops up.
Mm-hmm.
You're instantly excited about it. If you had
Exactly.
any interest in Cloverfield, how the hell could you not be excited about this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pumped. I think I love John Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this world that we're living in with this story.
Yeah. No, I could just see the big twist is when you watch it. It's like, no, this street's just Cloverfield Street. It's
Exactly.
totally
Maybe
something
it's a
different,
giant
right?
joke on us. I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm excited because I was always a JJ fanboy. I don't want to say, I will call out a director if I don't like something he did, but for the most part, I've liked everything. I like the way he handles it and he doesn't reveal too much.
Yep.
What got me excited is, for a long time, I watched a podcast called The Totally Rad Show. With 3 hosts, one of which was a guy named Dan Trachtenberg, who is the director of this film. And so watching a guy that did basically what we did, review stuff, he did as a job, he made television commercials, which is what I do, but he did on a grander scale. But, you know, a guy that just loves this kind of stuff, loves this world, and I watched enough of his reviews to know he loves it, he loves the whole Amblin 80s thing, just that's his wheelhouse. You fast forward, he's given a movie that I'd heard about with John Goodman about a kind of a doomsday prepper in a place with a woman kind of keeping her there. And I think we were told it might be called The Cellar or something. So that's kind of what I've been going on, following his Twitter account, the old Totally Rad Show Twitter account, stuff like that, and just his Instagram. You'd see pictures of the shoot. So you're like, okay, this is going to be cool. This is going to be great. No idea that it would be connected to Cloverfield. No one knew that. This was a movie.
And why would you?
Exactly. So all of a sudden, hey, here's the trailer for the new, or the first movie from Dan Trachtenberg. I think he was going to do Why the Last Man. That fell through, so then this was the first one. This is great. Let's check this out. And at the very end, they tell you 10 Cloverfield Lane, and you know that he had been hired by Bad Robot, so he was working for JJ, contracted to a film. You're like, oh, wow, they are tying these worlds together. So if the script is good, I have complete trust in this because I've listened to, you don't know for sure, but I've listened to enough stuff about Dan Trachtenberg talking his love for this kind of movie. I remember watching the review of Cloverfield from that show, Totally Rad Show, how much, he talked about that.
Neat. Did you even remember that? Now the guy's making it.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting take on it. And like you said, John Goodman, you cannot go wrong. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's in it. She's great and not in enough things. So, I am very pumped. If the script is good, I have a lot of faith that Trachtenberg is going to put together a good film here.
And if anything, they've gotten our attention, and we're going to go check it out.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. All right, so the last one we've got is Independence Day Resurgence. And this was a project that when I first heard about it, I thought, why are we're trying to bring a series back, or not even a series, just a movie that's going to have the nostalgia, and we're going to just milk it for all it's worth. And then I saw the first trailer, and this thing got my attention again. This thing looks awesome. And Jeff Goldblum's back. Gotta love that. Will Smith is not.
Oh, hell no.
I know. But I will tell you, there's a website. You guys have to check this out. It's called War of 1996.
Okay.
And 20th Century Fox has done a great job of filling in the gaps. And it's basically a timeline showing you what's happened since that war when the aliens invaded to now.
Okay.
And it's talking about what happened to Will Smith, his son. It's talking about a world army that's been created since this technology was brought upon us. And if you go to that website and you mix that with watching this trailer, it can't get here soon enough. I'm telling you, I can't wait to run to the theater. What do you think about it?
Yeah, first I was not interested in all. I liked the first one, but without Will Smith, I don't know. Hearing Liam Hemsworth was being brought in, like him, he's fine. But again, I don't know. I like Goldblum, so I in his cheesiness.
That's why I love him.
Maybe Brent Spiner will be back in this.
Maybe.
No, was he killed in the first one? I think he was.
He was.
Gosh,
he was.
see,
So that's not happening.
it's been a while since I've seen this.
I think that's it.
They could just build another one, right?
that's
Wait, that's
it.
another thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I once I started seeing it, I'm like, okay, this is great. I don't have the feeling I had from the first one, but I will definitely check it out. And I think it's a good popcorn movie.
Yeah,
I'll be all
turn
about
your
it.
brain off for probably 2 hours.
Yeah,
and
I
know
think
that everything's going to explode, and we're going to see more monuments probably destroyed.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a good summer movie.
So in other words, as Jeff Goldblum would say, it is total chaos theory, right?
It's exactly
It's chaos
right.
theory. All right,
Nice.
so that's pretty much all the trailers. I mean, there were more, and we could keep going on with everything.
And
but
we could talk about these trailers for
and we could-
literally full episodes.
yeah, and I mean, we could talk how the Ant-Man and Hulk Coke commercial was probably better than any superhero movie in the '90s.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but all right, we'll keep moving on. All right, let's go to another segment. What do you think? How about what the what?
Okay.
What the what? Apparently, there's going to be an officially licensed Star Wars EDM album, which is electronic dance music for those of you that aren't familiar with the term. Let's just put it this way. I listened to the preview tracks, so you don't have to. Yoda used to say, do or do not. This project should have fallen strictly in the do not category.
I don't even understand it.
What the what?
What the what?
What the what? Now we reach the point where we want to give you some recommendations, things that we personally think are cool and that are worth checking out. So Dan, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so for this week, I wanted to recommend a movie called Ex Machina. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I'm the one on camera, so just take my word for it.
Exactly.
But basically, this movie was awesome. It's a very dark. It's got the suspense, but to kind of set it up, what the movie is essentially about. The movie opens in Domhnall Gleeson. You realize works for a tech company. He's working for a search engine, basically like a Google or an Amazon, and you realize he's won something, but you don't know what.
Okay.
So immediately he's on a helicopter, and you realize, okay, he's flying to the owner of this company. It's a huge estate in the mountains, and that owner is Oscar Isaacs.
All right.
So he gets there, and he's going to spend a week with him to observe something. Well, come to find out, he's observing this supreme artificial intelligence, and his whole thing is he's there to observe if the AI has consciousness. So he's there to observe and then report at week's end.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to tell you, because this movie, think Blade Runner meets Hitchcock. It's sci-fi, it's thriller, it's dark, and the whole time you're sitting on the edge of your seat trying to figure out, because let's just say things aren't exactly what they seem, and you got to check it out.
I do want to see it, and I think it is interesting they spend all the time to make all this artificial intelligence, and they don't put some hair on this girl.
I know, right?
So I don't know. I'm just seeing the post, right? No, I really want to see this. It looks good.
It's awesome.
Looks good.
So what do you have?
Oh well, I'll throw out another album there for you guys. Something I've been listening to a lot lately, and they've got a live album coming out soon, if not already dropped by the time this airs. But a group called Johnny Swim. Now it's not hard-hitting music. It's a duo. In fact, the woman in this is the daughter of Donna Summer.
Really?
Yeah. No,
Wow.
they are great. They harmonize. They're amazing. Check out the songs Diamonds, and actually the album Diamonds. And check out the song Home, which is very good as well. And those are probably the upbeat ones on the album, but it's got some soulfulness to it, a lot of acoustic guitar, some nice beats to it. But just the way they harmonize, both of these people are incredible singers. It would probably fit on a more soulful version of like that Americana rock, kind of like, I talked about Dirty Governors. I mean, that's a different strand. These are like, I don't know, Civil Wars with more soul to it. So they're a very good band. They've got, I think, an EP out, then they've got this album, then the live album. It's more mellow for the most part, but it's great. You'll find yourself listening to it time and time again.
Sweet.
I'll bring in some harder rock recommendations in the future, though. So
Awesome. I'll check that out.
I think that's pretty much everything.
I think so. I think that's our show.
I know.
So,
And you know what? I picked up Spectre
nice.
on Blu-ray.
Very cool.
So watching it again. So that's going to be something we'll probably talk about next week.
For sure.
Get our James Bond on, right? All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is that everything? Got anything else?
I think that's it.
That's
so, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell your friends, like this page, share it. And again, I'm Dan Gaines. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Gaines.
I am Greg Compton. You can find me on Twitter at gcompton007, hence the Spectre thing. Yeah, and go to Rewind Heroes on Facebook.
Yes.
Like that.
We've got all the Super Bowl
Yeah.
trailers uploaded there. You can check them out all in one spot.
We've got the mixtapes listed from last week. We're going to just post nice memes, stories, whatever is there, just to kind of keep everybody interested. Let us know your ideas. Write to us and share us with friends. And until then, be kind.
And please, rewind.